Trik Lama.
Hello, everybody,
Hey.
and welcome back to yet another episode of Trick Lama with me, Terence Fernandez, and my two buddies here, Datuk Zainal Arifin.
Hi,
Zainal, say hello.
Terence. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New
Yeah.
Year, Rocky.
Kong Ifat
Kong
Choi.
Fat Choi.
Hi, Pak Choi.
Datuk Rocky. Yes. Well, this, guys, is the first Trick Lama of the year.
Yes. And we got a good guest.
And we got a fantastic guest.
Yes.
Okay, that to shake things up. For the record, because of a potential gag order, this Trick Lama is being recorded on the 15th of
January.
16th today.
16.
See? On the 16th of January at 8:45 p.m. Okay? And you understand why I'm making an emphasis of this in the course of this conversation. Okay, Rocky and Zainul, how has your year been so far? I know it's in the second week of 2025.
My year has been good so far. No bad news. Nothing bad happened yet so far. But it's good. It's good, and we hope 2025 will be a great year for us.
How about you, Rocky?
My resolutions have all been
Failed.
met.
Oh man.
Oh, for a change.
Yes, last year. So this year, for 2025, I decided not to have any resolution. So it's been an easy year
Okay. Well,
so far.
for the past 20 years, my resolution was not to make resolutions that I cannot keep.
Yeah, you're wise.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
But let's see what our guest
Yes.
resolution.
So, guys, so the last 2 weeks, I have this one word that's been playing around and annoying me and bugging me, and it's called addendum.
and confusing
And
us.
confusing me. Everywhere I go, I hear addendum. That day I was in the restaurant with my family, and the next table is talking about addendum. I was on an MRT ride, and there was two old guys talking about addendum. The other day I was at home in my sister's house. My father was in the living room. My father is close to 80, and I was talking to somebody about addendum. Now, we've got a great guest today to explain to us what is addendum, lend clarity on addendum, and in fact, this is actually the guy who stirred the pot and started his whole
Addendum
conversation
thing.
about addendum.
Addendum
This is addendum. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest for 2025 on Trick Lama, we are very happy to have with us Tan Sri Muhammad Shafee Abdullah, very prolific lawyer. Of course, he is the lead counsel in the cases of former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak. And Tan Sri, thank you so much for your time with us. I know it's late in the day, but you are here with us. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Thank you
yes.
very much.
So, Tan Sri, sorry.
Wait.
So basically, straight to the chase, the addendum, Datuk Seri Najib, and the Agong. Can you tell us where the confusions are and where the blurring are?
Okay. All right. As you know, addendum simply means in Malay lampiran
Lampiran.
ataupun tambahan, ataupun lampiran tambahan. Yeah?
Oh,
That's
okay.
what it means. In English, it just means a document that I attach to the main document. That's what addendum means. So in this context, what has happened is on the 29th of January 2024, that's 1 year ago,
1 year, almost.
the Yang di-Pertuan Agong number 16, which is Sultan of Pahang, what he has done was, on the same date, 29 January, after the meeting of the Pardons Board, he decided to make two documents. One document, I call it as the main order. The second one, he calls it addendum. So I stick to addendum as the second document. Now, bearing in mind his last day that he would travel back to Pahang was 30th, this was virtually 1 day before his term expires. Okay? The way he has framed the two documents to a lawyer or even to a layman is logical, because the main order say, I have considered his case basically, and I've decided to reduce his jail term by half. That means from 12 years, he becomes 6 years. And as far as the fine is concerned, 210 million to 50 million. That is what I call the main order,
Main order.
because that's a substantive order of reduction of all sentences. So the addendum that he crafted with his team was this. He says, there is a balance. He calls it baki. The balance of the imprisonment sentence, the addendum say, shall be executed as a house arrest. So you see how the two documents, in fact, gel together. It is not illogical. Many people ask, why don't you put the addendum's content in the main order? It doesn't make sense, because the first order merely reduces all the sentences in terms of imprisonment and fine. The second is, in the manner you execute his imprisonment, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong says, I decree that he serve in the house.
But Tan Sri, you are the only person that says the addendum exists.
Right? Yeah.
So does it exist?
It exists 100%. In fact, somebody asked me, how sure are you? I say 120%. Because I have seen it. I have spoken to the powers that be. I wouldn't say who confirms that the addendum exists. And now we know, isn't it? The Prime Minister, after 1 year, has now stated that the addendum exists. And in fact, he said the addendum was given by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong number 16 to the former AG, the immediately preceding AG, namely Tan Sri Teruddin. At that time, he was Datuk Teruddin. And Datuk Teruddin then, after giving his opinion, we don't know to whom, but presumably to the Prime Minister, has handed over that addendum, original copy, to the current Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Why he did that, the AG, only God knows, because it doesn't make sense. Because the addendum is an order. You don't give it to the succeeding Yang di-Pertuan Agong. You're supposed to execute it. And this addendum is actually addressed to Datuk Teruddin. And if you look at the addendum that's now with you, the addendum not only addressed it to Datuk Teruddin, in fact, it was such a polite addendum. It wishes Datuk Teruddin the best of health and his family in a good way. And then the third paragraph, I think, say addressed to him to carry out this order of the addendum, namely the baki, the balance of the imprisonment term, which means from the 29th of January 2024, is to be served in the house of Datuk Seri Najib, whichever house he would choose. Yeah. So there is no difficulty of understanding that there is no other decision that needs to be made. It needs to be enforced. So Teruddin should have just taken note of that addendum, give it to the prison DG, and say execute.
So based on what you're saying, Tan Sri, there are at least 5 persons who have seen the addendum. The previous Agong, the current Agong, the Prime Minister, the AG, and you yourself.
Yes.
Okay. And you did say that the previous Agong made those documents after the Pardons Board meeting.
Both documents were made after the pardons meeting.
And were given to the AG.
Okay, the first order, I noticed it is addressed to the Prison Director General.
All right.
See,
Okay.
it is logical, isn't it? Because that is the imprisonment order. The DG comes into being. Because the addendum deals with a matter that's not so usual, but not never done. the house imprisonment has been undertaken before. Also on a former client of mine by the name of Kenneth Lee. You remember the murder case where this was a former race driver, and he was found suddenly on the opposite side, facing the wrong way of the traffic, and apparently he shot.
Somebody, yeah.
Yes, another lady by the name of Lee as well.
Oh, Linda Lee Goodyew.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
Wow,
right.
Terrence.
That's right. That's right.
I
That's
remember that
right.
one, yes.
Yes. So, I call him Kenny Lee. So Kenny was given several pardons. One was from death sentence. He was commuted to life. Then from life, he was given another pardon to reduce it further. And then on the ground that, by that time, the mother had passed away. The mother was a fantastic social worker. Datin Ruby had passed on, leaving the father, Datuk Douglas, who was a banker. This is the grandchild of the first finance minister of Malaysia.
Sure.
Okay, Tan Sri Lee.
Lee,
Okay.
Alex
Now,
Lee's
Alex
father.
Lee father.
Yes.
Alex Lee would be his uncle.
Yes.
Okay. Also died a very
Yeah.
treacherous death. So he made another petition to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on the ground that Douglas Lee, the father, was having no one to take care of him because he was ill. And the final order given was a house arrest. So he is known to be a recipient of a similar addendum order, so that he served the balance of his imprisonment from the house. And there's nothing wrong with it because the Yang di-Pertuan Agong can do so.
Was Kenneth the precedent case? Was it a precedent case for house arrest? The first case?
Yes. I'm not sure whether it is the first,
Okay.
but I am almost certain it is not the first.
Okay.
But our government officers do not keep records very well, and this is based on a direct interview that I undertook with the legal director of the prison, who had been working with me on many literature of prison law, and he confirmed with me. He has just retired. He confirmed with me. He provided the opinion on how to go through and give Kenny Lee the house arrest.
So the fact that you have these precedents already basically throws the argument out that we have to amend the law to allow house arrest out the window, because you already have a precedent here.
Yeah, not only that, I'm here to tell you, I don't pull punches,
Yeah,
and that's how sometimes I get into trouble.
sometimes.
But I will still not pull punches.
Right.
Whoever proposed that is lying, because I just read to you one part, so that you know. So that you know this is a total lie.
Akta Penjara.
Akta Penjara.
You
Yes.
come prepared with all the,
Prison
all the
Act.
post-it
Yeah.
notes.
You see, this is the main act, Akta Penjara.
Yep.
Section 43.
Right.
It says, subject to any regulations made by the Minister, the Commissioner General, which is the DG, may at any time, if he thinks fit, release on license and on such condition as he may be specified in the license, a prisoner serving any term of imprisonment. So, somebody tried to pull wool over our eyes by saying subject to any regulation. So there must be regulation. But they forgot. When you lie once, you need about 100 more lies to cover that. They forgot the regulation has been passed in 2000. Bukan baru, no? It is in regulation 111 of the prison regulation. Okay, it says release of prisoner on license. This is made by the minister.
On license, meaning in a normal term would mean house arrest, is it? On
No,
license mean?
on license mean release you to be placed anywhere, including
Anywhere.
house.
Okay.
License is because you can place conditions.
Yeah, okay.
Namely, like you can't leave the house, for instance, or you may have to report every now and then, or you cannot receive visitors of certain types, and so on and so on. Or you cannot have a majlis in your house,
Right.
things
Okay.
like that. So those are conditions. You know, any license have condition.
Yes.
Your gun license have got condition.
Yes.
Driving license have got condition.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why they call it
License.
release on
Similar
license.
to all these Buang Negeri cases.
Correct.
Ah,
Correct.
okay.
Sometimes buang negeri, the license is you cannot, you have a curfew. Curfew meaning by 7 p.m. you're in the house.
Yeah.
So that's a
And you
condition.
have to report to the nearest balai and all that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So here it says the Commissioner General may, in his discretion, release a prisoner who is serving any term of imprisonment on license for such period and upon such condition as he may deem fit to impose. The conditions of absence and the form of license shall be substantially as set out in the second schedule. So second schedule provided a form how the license is to look like. And if you look at second schedule, it's also here. I don't know why they are telling the public things which are not true. Now, second schedule, I will show you. This is a standard condition or rather regulation when the minister, see there is a first schedule, now there's a second schedule.
Yeah.
Now second schedule says this, release on license under section 43. Yang tadi kita baca kan?
Right.
And it says here, number and such, office of the Commissioner General, and then you are hereby permitted to be released on license from the period and prison for a period of so many days and so on on the following condition. And then it give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put any condition you
Any
want.
condition.
And then the Commissioner General sign it. Now, interestingly, you see, law is so logical. In fact, it's one of the most logical discipline you can ever have. The training of law makes you logical because you're forced to think in a very logical fashion and in a very, how would I say, methodical sense. Now, how does this work? You remember Article 42 of the Constitution,
Yeah.
which deals with pardon. So 42 there and 43 here. 42, one, give the power to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong. Not the function only, is the power. 42.2 says, I put it simply, whatever the prison director or the prison can do with respect to lessening the burden of the penalty of the prisoners, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong can do the same. So you see, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong therefore subsume the duties. If he wants to take over in a limited way, he can too grant the license or the addendum which releases Datuk Seri Najib to the house. So where is the requirement of further law?
Tan Sri, sorry. So now, this mystery of the addendum, that ada, then tak ada, then ada balik. Why do you think it happened?
Okay. I suspect this is, I must say, my logical deduction. Okay? As you know, logical deduction, inference is also evidence. Some people perhaps are not easy. That if Datuk Seri Najib, in the prison, he can be that influential. What if he is now in the house? You can put any condition. But surely he must be given the minimum condition that can sustain a human being in the house, including perhaps receiving limited number of visitors, because in the prison he has visitors. So perhaps they fear that in the house, in his house, he may have even bigger influence. Because at the moment, he doesn't have access to internet. So he can't communicate with the world at large. He is given once in a while, movies that are all outdated because he can't go under Netflix, he can't go under anything else. No Facebook, nothing. Okay. So whatever you find that there is purportedly a statement from Datuk Seri Najib is actually somebody else's. doing it on his behalf. He could not communicate. So this communication with Malaysian and the world at large from the house is perhaps the fear of whoever that this house arrest.
So it's political.
Political. It is 100% political. Nothing to do with justice, nothing to do with obeying the Yang di-Pertuan Agong order.
But could it also be, Tan Sri, this is my deduction, if I was to make one,
Yes.
that the AG at that time had been perhaps confused, just like we are confused now, although he's greatly far more learned than we are, confused about the addendum. The fact that he had passed, like you said, had passed on the addendum to the
Next king.
current Agong. But that means he wasn't trying to make the document disappear. He actually passed it on to the office of the current Agong, meaning that perhaps he felt that because, and this is influenced by my reading of some interpretation of whether the Agong can, the power of the Agong on the pardon. In this case, the addendum, some argue, is not within the power of the Agong. So the AG felt that he should pass it on to the next Agong after maybe or maybe not conferring with the Prime Minister. I don't know. Is that a possibility?
Okay. The fact that the strongest irresistible inference, if I may use the word, that the AG must have spoken to the Prime Minister, you can't avoid it. It is an inference that is so logical, so reasonable.
Okay.
But that doesn't make the Prime Minister guilty of anything, except for one thing, which I'll come to right now. You see, this was 29th of January, 2024, 1 year ago. I filed, and before I filed the action in court, I wrote to 6 persons, including the AG, the DG of Prison, Minister of Law, Minister of Home Affairs, and then Bayu, you know, Bahagian Haliwan Undang-Undang.
Yeah.
I wrote to them to say, my client is now aware that there is this addendum. Can you please confirm there is this addendum? Not a single one replied. Okay, that's very important. That certainly is not good governance. It's not even good manners. You know, Malay panggil kau ajar. You write letter to us, you don't even reply to my letter.
No acknowledgement at
No
all.
I
acknowledgement.
suppose if you acknowledge, you either say no, then if there is one,
Yeah.
you're not telling the truth. If there's one, you have to say yes, there is.
Yes,
So
but they did
they
acknowledge by
ignore.
chopping it.
That you
So
receive
we
the letter.
made them chop all the 6 person. Chop.
The receiving.
Receipt.
The
letter.
Terima
receiving
lah.
it, chop terima. So there's no way they can say they never received.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two, when I received none, there is a law that says even if someone has got no obligation to answer, but if I write to you and say, can you please confirm this, and you don't answer, when you have got no obligation now, the law says the inference is adverse against you. That
Okay.
means what I ask is true. That's why you don't want to answer.
But with obligation lagi tambah lah.
Here
Okay.
they have the obligation to answer.
Ni macam orang Melayu kata apa, silence is
Consent.
not consent. Ya?
That's consent.
Correct. Yeah, silent consent. The only other situation where silent is consent is in a
Bila
Muslim wedding.
Mm.
When
Betul.
you ask a woman, the woman
Yeah.
is not supposed to say yes.
Yes.
Because otherwise she sounds too eager to get
Yeah.
married. Yeah.
betul, betul.
Betul, yes.
Yes. So then we come to the most serious part. We landed in court. Justice Amarjit, in hearing for to give leave or not, was forced to decide that it is hearsay, is a mere suspicion,
Suspicion.
and therefore he cannot accept.
What do you mean by say he was forced to?
It was forced because there was no
No, nothing, no document.
there was no response from the AG who appeared.
Okay.
See, the
Technically, he was
AG
forced.
rep appeared.
Ah.
Now, the AG rep that appears is the AG himself. It has to be assumed the AG himself, because he sent his representative, 2%.
Yeah.
They must have the knowledge. How dare the AG misled the court by maintaining silence? You know, silence, I've got the elegant silence and the silence that is in the custody of criminals. You know, orang kena tangkap, dia diam, dia buat salah. So, you know, that kind of silence is guilty. You know, and here we have the most august body that is supposed to be the fountain of justice, the Attorney General himself, the keeper of justice. And he's misconducting himself by not standing up and say, yes, we have the addendum, but we dispute the legality of the addendum, allow the leave, let's argue on the substance.
Yeah.
That is the most honorable thing for the Attorney General to have done. But he chose the downtrodden way, down the slippery slope. And right now he's in the drain. That's how serious this is. This is not merely misleading the court, it is contemptuous. It's a criminal act. And now that I know with what Datuk Seri Anwar has said, Datuk Seri Anwar, probably the first government official who have spoken the truth and say, yeah, the addendum exists. A bit late, but
late,
at least he said it. The AG has diam completely. Reporters chased him, he ran away, and he didn't want to answer. I would say strongly that in the face of this misconduct, he should resign immediately as a federal court judge, because he's got no business holding another fountain of justice when he failed in the first.
That's right. In April of last year, the Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Zahid,
Zahid, yes.
revealed that Tunku Zafrul had told him that there is an existence of an addendum and showed him a particular document from his handphone. The following day, Zafrul said he's filing an affidavit to membetulkan, to correct some of the statements remarks that were made by the DPM and then nothing transpired after that. What could you or what have you done to capitalize on that remarks by the DPM?
Okay.
Was it helping your case?
Yeah, it did. In fact, I must say the DPM was probably very brave in the face of uncomfortable allies. He has actually put in an affidavit. When I asked him, this was just malam Hari Raya Puasa. The next day was Hari Raya Puasa. I went to his house with my team, and I said, do you know if there is this addendum? He said, yeah, I know. I said, how do you know? He said, Zafrul showed me. And Zafrul was here, the night before. That was on the 30th. Immediately after he sent the Yang Bertuan Agong, he came. And he reported to Datuk Seri Zahid. And I said, will you make an affidavit? He said, yes. And I have to do it immediately, because as much as Datuk Seri Zahid, to me, is a very close friend, same batch in the University of Malaya. I quickly get my computers and all that. We got it typed, printed, and he signed there and then. So that's the first affidavit to confirm that he himself saw from Tunku Zafrul's phone the addendum that has got even the chop and the signature. The moho and all that, semua cukup. That means the Yang Di-Pertuan Agong number 16, Sultan Pahang, when he has done all the moho and the signature, he took a picture himself. That's the picture that he shared with Tunku Zafrul.
Okay.
The one that he provided later on, he wanted to impress the fact that I've got the original, which is a copy. Dulu kita kata carbon copy. But nowadays we don't use carbon. He says, my copy, of course, I don't sign. It's for me. I just want to know the contents for my own filing.
Yeah.
So this is the real one. He photostat one. And he told Datuk Seri Najib's son, Niza, Datuk Niza, who's a member of Exco in Pang,
Yeah.
dia kata, I have finally decided to give you a copy. But I'm not giving you permission to use it, but just for your satisfaction. So that's how the addendum was given. From the original of his own copy, he photostat, and it was sent by Datuk Bentara of Pahang in an envelope. And there was still a lot of noise. We filed that. There was still, the government and the AG especially still did not want to admit. I think from the elegant silence of most royalties, including Sultan Pahang, I think he was upset because this is not only rude, derhaka, this is outrageously crazy for the Yang di-Pertuan Agong punya decree is not being executed.
Yeah.
And what more, you don't even acknowledge
Knowledge,
it exists. So it's a total insult to him. So I think because of that, he came out with the letter. And again, he contacted Datuk Niza and he said, Datuk Bentara will give you this letter. And with that letter, prior to that, he's already given permission. You can use it as you like. That's how that addendum came into the affidavit. And then now this letter, we also exhibited in the affidavit. So the AG's chambers, the Senior Federal Council, 2 weeks before the 6th of this month, you remember when we appeared before the Court of Appeal, they said they need 2 weeks to confirm the existence of the addendum. Very simple. I mean, they have the State Legal Advisor of Pahang.
Can ask.
Send him to the istana, tunjuk betul ke ini Tuanku.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. They didn't do that, I think. Or they have done it, or they did not have to do it because the AG would have said, betul lah, I've got it. You know, logical inference. So they didn't put in any affidavit to say yes or no, in spite of the fact that the court gave them the time and the privilege to answer. So what other inference can you draw? The inference is, dia sembunyi lah. As the Prime Minister said, ini bukan sorok. It's true lah. When we say sorok, it is not main acilot.
Yeah.
We are talking about you keeping the document and not showing it to us. Sorok lah. Yeah? You sembunyi.
So Tan Sri, I feel that the Pardons Board has, the integrity of the Pardons Board has taken a lot of beating here, not just among other parties. You know, could or the Pardons Board is made up of several people.
Right.
Yeah, the AG is only one of them. Could any of them, or should any of them, come out and defend themselves?
Okay. The Pardons Board act as a board. It's a collection of responsibility. And I think even their discussion, the Minister of Law or the Federal Territory Minister have said it's official secret. I agree. Because you don't want to know, or the public shouldn't know, what other
deliberation.
members have expressed their opinion. So it's official secret. I confirm that.
But
So-
in this, sorry,
Yes.
in this instance, can't it be declassified?
Okay.
Shouldn't it be declassified?
It can be declassified. The Pardons Board as a whole unanimously must say, yes, let's classify this because it's affecting our credibility.
So it's the Pardons Board that needs to declassify,
Yes.
not the AG, PM, or
No, the
Agong
Pardons
or-
Board.
Okay.
The AG can assist, but the Pardons Board must ask this.
Because the Pardons Board is presided by
The king.
the
The
king.
king,
Yes.
Kan?
Yes.
the sitting Agong.
Yes. Which was number 16.
Number
at that
16.
time.
Now number 7. Can number
Now-
17 decide? Declassify?
For purposes of declassification, he can.
Mm.
Because it doesn't affect the orders. It only affects whether we should make it public or not.
Right.
That
And,
can.
yeah, and he wasn't part of the deliberations anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, many people do not realize, and this is a critical part. That's why I brought the Malay version as well. You see, the English words, very precise, and the English version is applicable because this is 1957 when the Bahasa Kebangsaan Act semua belum masuk lagi. the word used is the Yang di-Pertuan Agong shall preside over. He didn't say chair the meeting.
Preside over.
Preside, huh?
Preside over. If you chair the meeting, you're part of the meeting.
Yep.
Like board of directors, I chair. So the concept of first among equal,
Yes.
he's only the first, but among equal, will apply. Yeah? Dalam I think, in Latin they call primus inter pares.
Yep.
First among equal. But the Agong is not first among equal. He's not equal to any of these people. He presides over. That means he floats, in a manner of speaking, over the pardons board. Let me listen to your views. Thank you, you guys, and he walks away. He doesn't have to announce the result.
Correct.
He only hears. Okay, but of course there are views which are quite strong that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong alone in the federal territories need not even need to hear the
Pardons
opinion of the pardons board. There is a very strong view of one particular school of thought, consisting of at least 3 very eminent lawyers that have expressed this opinion. Now, the mistake that has been made is in the translation of perlembagaan. This is the Malay version.
Okay.
And the Malay version, unfortunately, uses this word,
Pengerusikan.
mempengerusikan mesyuarat. So kalau mempengerusikan, he is part and parcel of the pardons board.
What would be the
Yeah,
Malay equivalent of
apa
presiding?
equivalent?
Maybe bersidang,
Bersidang.
the closest, but still not accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
because
yeah.
preside over,
Preside over.
yeah, is something else.
Yeah, that's something for us to.
Yeah, the failure of
about-
our bahasa Melayu.
Rais
punya.
Yatin tak ada. Kalau Rais Yatin ada, can
Yep.
probably-
And in fact, I raised it with Dewan Bahasa dan Pustaka. My current interest is in bahasa Melayu yang lama.
Okay.
My current interest.
Aha.
So I've been contacting Dewan Bahasa, the writers themselves, like Muhammad Haji Saleh, for instance, the winner of the award, literary award. Sejarah Melayu is now one of my popular book. And then Sajak-Sajak Sejarah Melayu is another one. And I raised this with the Director General of Dewan Bahasa. Dia kata, you may be right. Dia kata, presiding over is not the same as
As
mempengerusikan.
Yep.
Kan? Mempengerusikan is to
Chair.
chair the meeting. Kan? You may, and that's probably the reason why some people think that they should take a vote among the members of the pardons board. No, you can listen to them. Let's say there are 5 orang. All 5 are saying completely the reverse to what the Yang di-Pertuan Agong has in mind. Doesn't matter. He can listen to them and say thank you, and he goes out, and then he can decree the first order and the second order. He doesn't have to announce to them. His obligation, if at all, is to hear their opinion.
So that decree does not even have to be made during
No,
the meeting.
even the first order tu kan, doesn't have to.
So if we kalau sekiranya minutes of the meeting, pardons board meeting are declassified, we may not even see this discussion in details about document 1 and addendum, the main
Yes.
and addendum.
Probably. In fact, I dare say the earlier meeting, before 29, the more
Yes, another one.
substantive meeting was on the 8th
Of
of
February.
January 2024.
No, December, I think.
December. Okay.
On the 8th, there was a big meeting of the same pardons board. That time, Datuk Seri Anwar was FT minister.
Acting FT.
And then tertukar jadi the current FT minister. So Datuk Seri Anwar wasn't there representing FT. That's the only difference. But the bigger meeting was on the 8th of December.
Tan Sri, all these things now, how does it affect your client, Datuk Seri Najib?
Okay.
In spirit or in terms of...
There's so much talk about Datuk Seri Najib should not get any pardon because dia tak insaf langsung. There's no contrition, no expression of being sorry about what he did. These people again, fall into two categories. One is the ignorant one who do not know what the pardon papers were all about. The other one are dishonest if they have read it. Datuk Seri Najib pardon request is very unique. He said, I am a victim of not being given a fair trial in the SRC trial. You know, I dare go on record, and it is recorded, that never in the history of Malaysian judiciary, where there is a change of counsel 3 weeks before the appeal, and this is a massive, massive trial, massive issue. The counsel will never be able to read within 3 weeks. I dare say even 2 months, they tak boleh. Because we were dealing with it. When he asked for a short adjournment of at least 3 months, he never got it. Now, not only he never got it, that means you never hear his appeal. But they made it worse.
You send it straight to jail.
No, they invited the other side, which is the AG side, represented by a private lawyer, who had no choice because they say, now, you submit. Okay, you tell me. The appellant did not submit about his appeal. You nak jawab apa? There's nothing for you to reply. But the Chief Justice say, now you submit. That compounded the injustice of first not giving him the right to have an adjournment to be fully prepared. And then you tambah, this is like jatuh tangga, timpa tangga. You invited the other side to submit ex parte. So the whole hearing was an ex parte hearing. I mean, what kind of justice is this?
So for clarity of for our audience, this was when you recused yourself and Hisham Teputek took over.
Yes, I was in Italy.
Right.
And I think somehow, we don't go into the detail.
Sure.
Somehow.
Yeah, what happens in Rome stays in Rome.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. But except that, nothing happened in Rome.
okay.
It all happened here.
But you know, when in Rome,
Yes, I know. So what happened was, give the new lawyers credit. They need time. And I know they need time. If you don't give that, there is a fundamental breach of fair trial, which of course incorporate fair appeal.
Right.
That was the ground. So he gave all the reasons why I ought to be given pardon, because I never got
The fair trial.
a fair trial. The system never gave me. Can you imagine? He says, I'm the ex-prime minister. What would happen to the normal people if I am not given that sort of thing? That's the main one. Number two, we also raised, there's another, but this is a different addendum because it's just a lampiran. So we sent another addendum to read together with the main pardon paper to see, the trial judge, Justice Nazlan, was also involved in a conflict of interest because he was, Maybank, this and all that.
And he didn't accuse himself.
No, he didn't recuse himself and so on and so on. So there's a lot of things there. Then we put in a second addendum. When the review punya decision, you remember I did a review before the federal court. It was 4-1. That one single dissenting judgment was probably the most learned, very solid judgment. I think the majority judgment you can literally ignore because it says nothing. The substance of the judgment was literally not more than a page. The rest are just, dressing up. But the judgment of the dissenting judge went into detail. And he held that Datuk Seri Najib ought to be acquitted because he never got a fair trial and a fair appeal. So that was the basis of his request for pardon. So what is there to be insaf? It is not as though, I'm sorry, go down on my knee, and say, I did all this crime, and I therefore am very full of contrition, and I apologize. That's not the situation. Here is a situation where you see, he never got a fair trial, no justice was given. Now, interestingly, I told you about Sejarah Melayu. Sejarah Melayu interpreted in the English language by Muhammad Haji, it is Muhammad Haji Saleh. the power of pardon of our rulers, Malay rulers, has been there since 12th, 13th, 14th century. Malacca became the eminent one. In those days, the king, Sultan, will have the power of pardon. He himself, whether with the advice of his bendahara and his, it's another story. But he will do that. And he does it on what ground? When the man apologizes and says, sorry, I will never repeat this again. That is where he is contrite. Number two, where the Sultan suspect he didn't get justice. So the Sultan can forgive him and pardon him. Number three, if you think the Malays are not sophisticated people, you have to revise your thinking. Because number three, the Sultan of Malacca has used it very cleverly. Whenever a foreign individual, like let's say Siam, if an individual has been arrested and sentenced, especially sentenced to death, in order to maintain diplomatic relationship, Sultan of Malacca has exercised power of pardon to maintain that diplomatic relationship. You see how wide the powers of the Sultan. And that is the reason why the Sultan in the 16th century, when Portuguese attacked Malacca, they ran off together with his most eminent bendahara called Tun Sri Lanang, who is also otherwise, the real name was Muhammad, Bendahara Muhammad. He directed Muhammad or Lanang to write Sejarah Melayu. Sejarah Melayu in English is the genealogy of kings, where the king said, please write so that our grandchildren will know how we administer the system of government, governance, justice in Malacca from the palace, so that the common people will understand this. And he warned, and he said, whatever you write, the most dominant thing is write the truth, because the truth will fill up history. So that was Malacca. Very long time ago, before even the British taught us about the law, our Sultan in Malacca has been exercising this justice. And in the middle of a Portuguese attack, and they had to run, this Sejarah Melayu was written.
Interesting.
How do you feel our judges, or well, not all, but some of our judges are practicing judicial advocacy and listening a lot to public opinion?
You mean they could be influenced?
That influences their
Like football referees, the
their
crowd
decisions.
they get noisy, they give favorable decision.
Because I remember this conversation about sub judice that I had with the former AG, Tan Sri Gani Patel. And I brought up in one of my interviews with him, and I brought up sub judice. And he says, don't get caught in this sub judice nonsense. We don't have a jury trial anymore. Judges are above and beyond the common man. They shouldn't be, they're not supposed to be influenced by news reports, by conversations outside the realm of the court. So, but do you think that looking at how, especially this case, has been conducted in the last few years, do you think there is some form of judicial activism that's going on there that is not beneficial to your client?
Okay. When my client was charged for SRC,
Right.
we had Dr. Mahathir in his classical way using language that are so obscene, where he described my client as perompak, penyamun, penyangak, all sort of things. When my client has just been charged, he should know better as the old man that was wrong, irrespective of whether it is sub judice. But I think, did you mean Tan Sri Gani Patel or Tommy Thomas who said
No,
this?
I had this conversation with Tan Sri Gani
Okay.
a long time ago.
That means both of them has got this idea that without jury, sub judice rule doesn't apply. Very debatable.
Right.
But the rule is still, the law is still, sub judice still exists because the judge is not superhuman. He's still a human being. He's trained to avoid the irrelevant, but he can be unconsciously influenced by the views of the outside. world. Now, and that is common sense because he can feel pressured. He say, wow, my God, the public opinion is in favor of sending Datuk Seri Najib to the prison. What if I acquit him? I'm going to be the most unpopular person walking on the face of Malaysia. So he can be influenced. So for that reason, when Justice Sufyan was initially the judge handling SRC, I asked for a gag order. I said, nobody should speak about this so that none of us speak. Let's carry on with the trial. Sufyan gave me the gag order.
Gag order.
And you guess who wanted the gag order to be removed? Tommy Thomas, representing as the AG. Of course, the entire AGC. And the gag order was removed by Nazlan because there was suddenly, apparently, a routine transfer, which I don't believe at all, between Sufyan and Nazlan. Suddenly, the gag order was removed. Now you see how God have shown. Suddenly now they are asking for the gag order.
Gag order.
Because last time they were the heroes, to say, hey, freedom of speech. Tommy Thomas went to town and say, it's all wrong. No sub judice. I think they're completely wrong. In certain cases where public are getting too excited and expressing opinion so much, a gag order would be good. But in our case, since they have done that as a precedent, that's one that goes against them. Number two, the horses have bolted. Why you want to close the stable door? It's a bit too late.
Yep.
Everybody has spoken. And it's too late to close it. And people will think you are trying to hide something. I think it is against the government interest to get the AGs to apply for a gag order.
And the government has said through
Azalina.
communications minister
And Azalina.
And
law
Azalina.
minister, yes.
Law minister
that
as well.
there is no directive for a gag order.
Yeah.
Correct. And the AG's chambers are still proceeding with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because the AG chambers needs to protect itself now.
Yeah, it looks like that. It looks like that. The person who carried out the most atrocious criminal act by concealing this addendum is the same department now is wanting to have a gag order. Why? Because they want to protect their former boss. Because the former boss is being attacked. Yeah, Tan Sri Teraruddin is being attacked as having committed the most serious contempt of court.
I think, Tan Sri, this is, a lot of people speculating, but you are clearly now drawing the lines, identifying all the things. This is it, he broke the law, this is it. I've never heard anyone clearly articulating this issue. So, now, at the end of the day, where do you think what's the outcome will likely be at the end of the day?
Okay. Legal outcome, if all judges are straight, especially those who are hearing my cases, my client should get the recognition of the addendum and therefore enforcement of it. That's legal outcome. There can be a political outcome. The pressure may be mounting too much. There could be an outcome as a result of a discussion between the government side and my client side, which I'm not aware. But it can be happening because he's not going anywhere. He's in the prison. They can get him to discuss very easily. He's very upset because I forgot to answer you. He's very upset because he thinks that how many times must he be knocked down like this? And every aspect of law has been used to knock him down. And he feels that if the former Prime Minister can be mistreated like this, he says, you and I have got no chance. And to quote what Tun Lanang said, if we don't set a good precedent, what are we leaving our children and grandchildren with, which is the most priceless possession is a system of justice, where the last bastion is the court. or the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, or the king, as the case may be.
So and is there? Would you think there will be a implication, a ramification on the AG or the judiciary in this thing following this addendum? Punya ni? This is small, but it seemingly is wide ranging. It tested every
Yeah.
segment of the judiciary, and So do you think they will have an
Okay.
impact on that?
In an ideal situation, because we follow Westminster system, the Attorney General will go down, have to resign even in his current position, especially in his current position, which is a position of trust. The trust is gone, so he should resign. Now, the government must take some blame. I think the Prime Minister is being focused, because as the Prime Minister in the cabinet, surely you would have been briefed as early as January, if not February. Should have been, you should have been briefed. Now, the cabinet members cannot say we are not aware. And I think what KJ said was the Minister of Law should know. I think that's what he meant. Now, by inference, the Minister of Law should know. She may not know, but if she does not know, then she's not doing her work, because she's in charge of Bayu, where the Pardons Board are involved. But she said she doesn't know. We take it for granted. She may not know, because it could be hidden from her by the AG, who only communicated with the Prime Minister and the current Yang di-Pertuan Agong. I think in terms of communicating it to the two gentlemen, there's nothing wrong. But a decision must be made quickly, even if you do not want to enforce it, that we have that addendum. But we are disputing with it. Let's go to court on a very
On a legal,
expeditious basis,
yeah.
because liberty of the person is at stake. I told the court, when it involves liberty, Lord Denning, the most eminent, very outspoken judge in England, said that on matters of liberty, it should get the judge out of his bathtub to hear the proceeding. You see, you know how English are so jealous about their bathtub. They mandi mungkin seminggu sekali. So even then they'll get up and say, this is matter of justice, matter of liberty. They must hear this.
It's interesting you mentioned, Tan Sri, the Law Minister Azalina, who's suing KJ, or
No,
lodge a
police
report,
report.
lodge a
Police
report
report,
against KJ. These are two best friends,
Yeah,
best friends before.
at one time.
And your explanation suggests that Azhar should actually be thankful, and if it is something that has been hidden from her, she should go right to the bottom of it and find out, as law minister,
Yes.
the truth about the addendum.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. Because as a law minister, you have that duty.
Yep.
And you're in charge of Bayu. And Bayu is the secretariat of Pardons Board.
Yeah,
So even if you do not know, you must make it a point to know.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's
So before Datuk Zainul asks you some subversive or whatever question,
there's no subjudicial thing.
I just want to make a point on the Sejarah Melayu,
Yes.
which we studied. I think most of us studied Sejarah Melayu when we were in Form 6. One of the things that this fantastic volume also tell us are the flaws of the Raja-Raja.
Yes.
The greatness of the Raja-Raja, but the flaws of the Raja-Raja as well.
Yes.
When it comes to Hang Tuah, the greed of the Raja-Raja dahulu. I'm not making any reference to sekarang, but it is also a constant reminder that of the need to limit the powers of not just government or anyone, but also Raja-Raja. And there has been discussion about this following the addendum, that this could also lead to a constitutional crisis and questions about what is the powers of the Raja-Raja when it comes to pardon.
Yeah.
You know, do you see that happening?
I think the immediate thing that can happen is this. You see, Sultan Pahang is very fond. When he was the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, he was very fond of getting together a conference of rulers to consult them even on matters where it is he alone who can decide.
Yep.
Always consultation basis. Not a bad thing, but sometimes slow down a process. So I think at the moment, since his addendum order that has been disobeyed or not enforced, I think he should initiate a conference of rulers to discuss this matter and make a decision, because it doesn't just affect the Sultan of Pahang. It affects every Sultan.
Everyone.
Yeah, it is a precedent.
Yep.
Nobody follows Sultan's order and so on. Now, pardon power of the Sultans, the Raja-Raja Melayu and the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the only pristine power that has not been eroded by the amendment of the Constitution. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong and the Raja-Raja Melayu and the governors should be jealous of this, and they should enforce this addendum in order to protect their own power. You remember, we got Constitution amended.
Yeah.
Right.
Why was it amended? Because Dr. Mahathir thought we need to curtail the powers of the rulers to such an extent that a rumor was created, and I know who created it. There was a department, a government department, who created this rumor that, ayahanda kepada Yang di-Pertuan Agong sekarang, almarhum Sultan Iskandar, apparently killed using the golf club
Yeah.
The caddy.
on my client's brother, who was Adam Jaafar. When I defended Adam Jaafar, I asked him, is this true? He said, rubbish. I don't have a brother, an elder brother, especially one that is a caddy.
Adam yang when
The
ran amok.
When I'm up,
Yeah,
when I'm up,
in
yeah,
Chowkit.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So you see, that was done in order to make the sultans look so bad, so that there is justification
For the amendment.
for the amendment.
Amendment.
And the sultan should be alive now and say, this is enough. And we must protect the salient powers that we have from further eroding.
That's it. This out of curiosity, when we were talking about the AG and how they might or may not be behaving, if to tomorrow the PMX come to you, Tan Sri, do you want to be the AG? Would you?
Please say yes.
I tell you what, under the current condition, it is very, very tough for anyone to saddle the job of the AG. Okay? It's very tough because many things have gone wrong. And as many prime ministers as we had, we also have so many AGs, all for the same reason. We're getting from bad to worse, and the system has not worked. But I'm avoiding your question. But if you ask me, only for the sake of serving the country no more than 3 years, to put the system right, I will do it on that basis.
Would this include separating the AG and DPP?
Okay, interesting. When they suggested that, it is fine, to craft all kind of laws. We have more laws than enforcement. If you have this separation, it will still not work because it depends on the personality of the AG and the character and the personality and character of the deputy, the director of public prosecution. If the director of public prosecution is going to be a yes man to the AG, it doesn't serve any purpose. Or he keeps on going to the Prime Minister to get direction on how to prosecute, on who to prosecute. Doesn't serve any purpose. Remember the ombudsman system? Why the ombudsman worked very well in New Zealand at one time? Because the personality of the man.
Yeah.
And it worked. Because he was independent.
Okay. I was talking about former Prime Minister who's seeking a pardon. We also had a future Prime Minister who was also pardoned by the Agong 15.
future Prime Minister.
Anwar Ibrahim lah.
Current,
Yes, yes.
So could you draw parallels between that pardon and the one that we are discussing today?
Yes, that's a very good question because there is a parallel. In fact, the parallel is quite obvious, and I would say straight away, Datuk Seri Najib's case is a lot lighter. Because in the case of Datuk Seri Anwar, the Pardons Board was not properly constituted because he was an overnight. The AG was on garden leave, but he appointed his Solicitor General. So Solicitor General can double up the AG, that's fine. AG report wasn't there. The Chief Justice report wasn't there. You know? And there was no meeting of the Pardons Board. But does that mean the pardon granted by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong illegal? The answer is no.
because based on your
Based on
presiding.
that's right.
Yeah.
Based on what I've just said, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong holds the entire trump card. And if you follow the school of thought of the other view, he doesn't even need to be advised by the
the
Pardon
pardon
Board.
board. Yeah.
So Datuk Seri Anwar is clear. He has been given a pardon. But at the federal court, there was a dispute only on one issue. Was it a clean blanket pardon? That means pardon sepenuh, full pardon? Or was it only on the punishment?
Yeah.
I mean, the conviction remains because some or other the court expressed the opinion in the federal court and say, but I don't see the pardoning in relation to the conviction, but it's only in relation to all imprisonment.
Yeah.
But that one we reserve it on another occasion. But the point remains, what the Yang di-Pertuan Agong decided
Goes.
is unimpeachable, cannot be challenged.
So it should be the same.
Same.
yeah.
He has granted the order on the 29th. Nobody even dare say that it is not on the 29th because he left on the 30th. Sometimes I think about it, maybe God has arranged it in such a way that he traveled on the 30th. Nobody can say this was done later
Yeah.
and he backed it. 29, it was there.
It's a great conversation, Tan Sri.
Thank you.
I mean, we have so much more we want to touch on, but I think for the purpose of the addendum, so we don't go off track, I think it's very important to be on topic this time.
Yes.
But please, please come back.
We will. Yeah, I will come back.
And let's have this conversation going. Rocky, yeah? What do you think?
Yep. Over durian maybe next time.
Yes,
We bring durian, not here, we bring the whole recording team to the durian session.
Durian stall, yes.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Once
Great,
again,
man.
guys.
Thank you.
Tan Sri Muhammad Shafee Abdullah, our guest on Trick Lama. Thank you, Tan Sri. And,
Thank you
we,
very
and,
much.
and
Thank
we,
you.
we will have this conversation again.
Probably the best.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trick Lama. Trick Lama.